going to spin a lot and very fast. And so, yeah, and I turned up the volume thing.
I have to use.
Black & Decker drill.
Backup
like,
production drill.
Somehow managed to make it through all these years, although honestly.
Well, I bought that. When were we living on Nelson Street in Vancouver?
Oh, that was in 2015 to 2017.
Yeah, so before we knew how to do, before the business, before anything.
It was just like our home.
I remember we were like hanging, I don't know, doing some, like one of our first little DIY home projects, and I was like, oh, a drill would be so handy right now, but I didn't have the cash.
Did you get it free from like RBC?
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't have the cash for it, but I had RBC points, and that was the cheapest drill on points that I could get. So you know what? It's honestly for
it's lasted so long.
like, yeah, we've got, you know, nicer, better drills now for like actual shop woodwork, metalwork stuff, but for like a little backup just to have around the shop for, you know, hanging hoses and you know, clocks and, you know, pulley systems and, you know, some just hyper basic, pretty much drilling into studs, and that's it. The Black & Decker has actually been sweet.
Although now we have a proper like impact driver, and I love it so much. It's so much better.
Beautiful clear honey. Okay, so what on earth is going on in here?
We are extracting honey and
What?
learning how to do it better.
Are you a beekeeper?
No.
Why on earth are why are we extracting honey? Apart from the fact that we use honey to make mead, to make vermouth.
Well, that's a very long, boring explanation about liquor license regulations.
Basically, long story short, is in order to produce mead in British Columbia in any kind of a sustainable way, we are regulated to extract honey from our own hives. So we have an apiary up in Fort St. John, and we work.
They get excellent
honey yields and excellent honey. We work with a beekeeper up there who manages our hives for us, and then ships us pallets of frames to which we extract. And can you tell me what we'll show you extracting, but what's the basic process?
These are done now.
I just kind of stopped it. I mean, that's your judgment call
Yeah.
with whether or not they're done.
But okay, the process is, so we have our boxes.
And they are full of
They're very heavy.
honey.
Unfortunately, we
Very
have to
heavy.
ship them from Fort St. John, so we do get some.
Well,
leakage.
ship them from Fort St. John, which means these are jostling a whole bunch, and it means the wax cappings that protect the honey from leaking out, they don't survive. They break. They get rubbed, so then the honey starts flowing out, which is a big waste. But again, we are regulated.
So then,
So we pull them out of the box.
pull them out of the box, and then this is our uncapping planer. So basically, heater. This heat.
Heating element?
Heating element, yeah. And then there's a piece of copper because copper
Well,
conducts heat.
Well, which is kind of neat. So
Well,
I've never seen a copper blade before, and yeah, it's exactly as you said. It's a good thermal conductor, so it.
And so
transfers the
basically,
heat.
I mean that's not on right now, but
No.
you take your frame out and then uncap so we can see all of the wax in there, and then we've got a slow drip. Once they've been uncapped, they kind of sit there, so some of the honey will drip out.
And some of it will
Yeah.
drip out, and we strain that off.
So
But
there.
because we've broken the seal, as it were, on the honey. That was a mangly one.
And then from there, they go into the extractor. This is a 20 frame extractor. Spin it around, and then what I'm doing afterwards.
What do you mean spin it around? How does an extractor
It's
work?
a radial extractor, so basically centrifugal force. It goes really fast, and the honey gets basically drawn out through the centrifugal force. Goes on the sides, collects on the bottom.
So the honey
and then-
sprays up to the sides. And
Yeah,
then-
and then it drains through here, and again
And we separated all the wax. And,
just
and
doing
debris,
that.
But we
a
got
small filter.
really, really beautiful, crystal clear, almost like water
Yeah, it's
level
gorgeous.
of.
And this
of
really
honey
gets going.
there.
It's actually very impressive how much
Yeah.
comes out when you're really going. And then after this,
Well, normally what you would do at this point is you would then have comb that is empty of honey, and you'd give it back to the bees. But in our case, because we're not beekeeping here,
they are
specifically.
local hives, so unfortunately for biosecurity, we're not able to reuse these hives because now they've gone to a different region from where the bees were, so we can't send them back. We can't use them here, so we're just scraping out all
the
of
wax,
the
which will
beeswax,
render down,
which will then do something. Yeah, exactly.
make beeswax.
And then these are just basically scrap, which is kind of sad.
It is, but yeah, the Fort St. John has almost 10 times the honey yield that we do on Vancouver Island.
It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense for us to, like, we couldn't sustain the business on this scale on Vancouver Island itself.
Well, what's the average amount of honey that you get on the island?
30 pounds per hive.
Yeah. Yeah, 30
and
pounds per hive.
Per hive, and it's up to 300 pounds per hive in Fort St. John.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a wild.
For
difference.
kind of, with the exception of extraction, like the same amount of labor.
Yeah, and it's honestly wild how much lighter these are.
Oh, I know.
Once
Like, they're
you extract.
really heavy to begin with.
Yeah.
Is there much, if any, honey left over?
Some of them aren't like fully, but you can see like there's no like honey in there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of pollen in there.
Yeah, it's cool to do kind of a new process. So cool. So cool.
And I mean, the neat thing about it from our perspective, I think, as mead makers, though, is feeling a lot more connected to the agricultural resource that we base our entire business off of.
Yeah.
So those are the full ones,
Yeah, the full ones.
and they've just been sitting there.
Yeah. Like
But-
this one's gorgeous.
Yeah, well, this one, that was, the cells were full of honey, but I didn't have to uncap it. That one from the original one that you pulled out, because some of those were uncapped, but it still extracted fine.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're wondering what that noise is, it's sort of the glycol chiller, right? Ticks on and off. Although actually, yeah, so we're fermenting a batch of mead in this tank, and the glycol chiller, there's a jacket on the back of this tank that glycol runs through and keeps this tank at 16 degrees. You can see the little jacket here. So glycol doesn't come in contact with the mead, but it keeps it at 16 degrees, but it means it spits out heat out of this glycol chiller here, out of this vent. Like there's, warm air coming out of there. So what we actually did with all of our honey here to keep it warm so it flows easier during extraction, I just stuck it at the output of our glycol chiller and kept the honey nice and warm so that it's been flowing easy. So what are you trying to do right now?
I'm trying to balance how I'm putting them in there. So I'm putting them on every other kind of slot. But the thing, if it's not balanced, then it'll kind of go off tilter, and then it'll
Off tilter?
off tilter. skipped that last one because it was quite light and everything that I'm putting in here.
Yeah.
Quite a bit heavier, so just want to try and keep it as.
So if you don't balance, it goes off kilter and starts wobbling and
Yeah,
stuff.
like this one feels like there's almost no honey in it at all.
Yeah. That one literally was super light.
Like I don't think we're not even gonna spin this one.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, we also have a little dehydrator, or not dehydrator, dehumidifier here, because honey.
We also don't have a honey gate on this, so we're using this really ingenious
totally
method.
You'll just need to back up a little bit. So let's do this. Oh my god, why is honey so heavy?
There's a lot of it. I don't know if it's worth scraping that stuff out.
No, it'll
okay?
that stuff will actually.
It'll help filter
It'll
it.
help filter.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Did you seal these?
No.
So what's that yellow knob thing?
So this controls the speed, but you want to start it.
How does it control the speed?
I don't know exactly, but it puts tension on belts, and then until you start tightening this. So now I can feel it engaging, and you want to start slow, and then we'll see how well balanced these are.
Yeah, using centrifugal force, it sprays that honey out onto the side of this barrel. And if you can, it smells so good because you're getting like this wave of wind, very windy.
So see, it's
Oh,
knocking because it's not evenly balanced, so.
I'm trying to figure out. I mean, theoretically, we could weigh them.
Yeah, that's what the one guy said. He's like, I don't weigh mine.
Yeah. But even just that quick little spin, look how much that honey's flowing now. And it is so clear. And I'm really excited to ferment this because it ultimately means that our vermouth, the base mead, will be water clear. Which, I mean, things like a Rosso vermouth where we're adding caramel, not that big of a deal.
Okay, I think that's better.
But for our dry vermouth, I'm most excited about this because dry vermouth traditionally is like water clear, and therefore so are martinis. So now, once this starts getting into our dry vermouth, our martinis will be like crystal clear.
Yeah, that is the hope and the theory.
So world's best dry vermouth is only getting better from here on out. All right, spinny, spin, spin. How come we don't just start really fast?
It can damage the honeycomb, which isn't the end of the world, obviously, because we're collecting it afterwards. But also, it could collapse and then the honey won't extract properly. Yeah, is my understanding of it.
Yeah. Again, coming this from not beekeepers and just from a meader's perspective, we're still,
Learning, observing.
Yeah, exactly how to do this. And all these wax cappings, we're actually, just to get the residual honey out, we're basically just going to wash it with water a few times and actually ferment that as well and get some nice lovely wax flavor out of it. Okay, Michaela, let's get on to the important stuff here. What movie did you watch last night?
Oh, I watched Red, White, and Royal Blue.
What's Red, White, and Royal Blue?
It is a rom-com based on a book.
So it is a adaptation.
An adaptation, correct. The premise is the son of the president. It's a enemies to lovers story, but the son of the president of the United States falls in love with the a prince of England.
My God.
It's so good. I like the book better, but the movie was great. I really loved who they cast. They were absolute perfection.
Okay.
It's just a charming, lovely,
Love story.
fun. Sorry?
Love story.
Yeah, it was so good. I loved it. I was kind of grinning the whole time. It was really lovely. So that's what I watched last night. We've been getting through the Fast and the Furious franchise, so this was a nice palate cleanser.
I'm surprised I always wrote off Fast and Furious as like, oh my god, I can't believe they're still making those. Because, you know, watched it when I was a teenager or whatever when they first started coming out. But surprisingly very fun
They're
and
fun.
entertaining.
Yeah.
They are pure entertainment. There are some misses, but by and large, they've been a hoot to watch.
Yeah.
And just like so over the top
We're done.
ridiculous.
We've watched up to 8 now, so.
Honey, 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 give me all the honey. You wanna have some honey with me? What's your favorite part about extracting honeysuckle?
Watching it go out the valve on the bottom.
Watching the honey flow.
Watching the honey flow.
It is quite
and
satisfying.
seeing just like the whole cone is really.
Yeah. I think the way it smells,
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
it really smells incredible in here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, warm,
Honey.
like cooking Christmas dinner. Like, it just kind of has like warm. I don't know. It's lovely. Okie dokie. Thing. It's hot. This is my hot knife. I should be able to get. Yes. Some of that. Yeah, so that white bit there, that's been capped, whereas a lot of this still seems pretty full of honey, but wasn't capped by the bees. So take this hot knife, roll it. I'm not entirely proficient at this yet, but you know, I got honey under there. Getting better as the more and more we do this, but when you only do this seasonally, you kind of, the muscle memory fades a little bit. This hot knife basically just melts the wax and means I don't have to kind of saw, bugger up my wrists doing this time and time again. And then the wax just kind of re-solidifies. Tray. This stuff I probably don't need to. Well, what we were trying to test is whether or not I need to do this at all.
I do think doing this before makes it easier.
Yeah, I kind of was thinking the same, that it just releases more honey. It's hard to keep this thing level so you're not like gouging into the comb. But again, the honey falling in with these cappings into the table here, we are going to use, like we are going to ferment that.
Yeah, so it kind of is.
They're all full, they're just not particularly capped well, which again, if I was beekeeper, I could tell you the reason. But I don't really know. I'm a mead maker. I can tell you how to make the booze.
Yeah, it's so cool when it comes off.
Don't totally uncap it all, so you got this little comb thing and you can just kind of rake open those certain areas and it starts getting all sticky. Shot for some B-roll of if I start getting a nice strip.
Some B-roll.
B-roll. I've done that so many times where I've like done one side and been so satisfied and then put it over on the side and just forgot to do the other side completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing, you can't leave it unattended for too long while it's on because it will actually start to cook.
So now that you've done this for a little bit, do you think having this like planer style tool?
Yes, I'm enjoying it because
Yeah.
otherwise you have to do vertical, like whereas my wrist is in a nice straight, comfortable position.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with a saw, or this would be upright, that would be not as ergonomically nice.
Yeah.
But this one, I mean, it cuts like a dream. I'm not sawing, I'm not really putting a lot of effort. What is actually hurting is my back in this position because it's just a little bit too low down for me.
Yeah.
And over
think that's the only real change I'd want to make. This tool is it's nice. It's just like
Everything is sticky. Everything is covered in honey. Everything is sticky.
Yeah, it's really my back, I think, over anything. That actual hot knife is quite lovely. It's just a little bit difficult to get it perfectly level. Every now and again, I'll slightly turn it in, and because it's hot, it starts digging in to the comb.
Oh, that was a nice one. Oh,
Yeah, like this is obviously ridiculously satisfying. I still think the smell and aroma in here right now is my favorite. And if my back didn't hurt, this would be more enjoyable. Fully white capped all across the
see
top.
some of the honey that's leaked out.
Leaking, and that's just simply
Unfortunately.
because of transportation.
Yeah.
Because this is going, I don't even know how many kilometers from
Many.
Fort St. John, but like thousands.
I don't know
I
if
think it's like 1,500 kilometers.
Okay.
But down the highway.
I'm gonna fact check you.
Huh?
I said I'm gonna fact check you.
Okay, 1,513 kilometers. is my guess.
1,513 kilometers. Let's
From
see.
here, and you gotta go from Esquimalt just to whatever Fort St. John, the center of Fort St. John, I guess Google will tell you.
I'll just Fort St. John is where I'll Google. Oh, we also had a frame when we went to try and get it out,
Oh yeah.
and the frame itself broke. So this
Well, it
entire-
didn't broke. The whole bottom rung wasn't there.
That's what I mean. So the frame broke, but this is just all like
A solid comb, and what you can actually
Honeycomb.
do, and what a lot of beekeepers will do in this situation, is they'll cut it up and just sell it as whole comb,
Yeah.
because people will have that with like charcuterie boards and stuff.
I want to keep some of it.
Yeah, the problem is, I'm allergic to honey.
Oh yeah.
Despite my current predicament, things like that.
I think you're allergic to pollen.
Yes, I'm allergic to pollen, but raw, unpasteurized honey, unfiltered, has a lot of pollen. Mead, on the other hand, I've actually got no issue with, because I think the yeast that settles out to the bottom of our mead tanks, I think, pulls out all that pollen. So I don't get any kind of allergic reaction once it's fermented, but unfermented honey, my whole mouth goes like all numb and tingly.
Okay, I think I know why this is spinning not very well. And I think it's because you didn't do the second half, the second side of this.
Really?
I don't think you uncapped this entire second side. Uncapped? Capped.
I'm the problem, it's me. Is that how the song goes?
It's me. Hi. Yeah. So if you could do that
Okay,
after,
okay.
that would be great.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So let's just make sure that.
Yeah, so it's just not like sprayed honey on the outside from the other.
Yeah, and like the rest of these, like going through, you can just see like its actual proper. Just the color.
We had a frame that totally fell apart on me, but thankfully it was one with these like plastic centerpieces. So obviously it's not going through our extruder, so if you can come get a zoom in on this, I'm just like raking up all this honey out of here as best I can with our comb, and then just it'll filter through on the capping table here. But like, look, just
Flowing.
flowing and oozing out. Let's see the.
This is just a cool thing that was happening. It just looks very neat. Oh, that one didn't do it as nicely.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Oh, it's so cool. So cool.
This is very exciting.
Yeah.
It's a very fun time of year.
Well, between both honey harvest and salal harvest.
Yeah.
Um,
It's been a mean, a busy time, but also, yeah, exciting and just like doing things that we're not used to doing all the time.
Yeah.
Hands are so sticky.
What's happening?
I said my hands are so sticky and I'm trying to turn up my podcast.
I would help you, but I believe in you. What are you trying to do?
Well, I turned my phone again off, which is my personal thing. Yeah, and I turned up the volume. I was able to turn it on. Luckily, I have like the face unlock thing.
I often have to use my nose sometimes.
Oh. My elbow?
You have really pointy
Oh, no, I just-
You have really pointy elbows.
Aha! Success.
Almost done. We got buckets of honey, drums of honey, lots of honey. Honey, honey, honey. Honey, honey, honey.
Okay, honey, what are we doing?
Honey, honey, honey. It worked. Buckets, drums, honey. We extracted all of our honey yesterday. Well, not all of it, but a good chunk of it. Not a drum of it. And
Heads. Extractor.
did not have the forethought or really the space to go straight from the extractor into the drums.
It was more space because I feel like we knew that we would have to then do this part after.
Yeah,
But we just like
I-
there was no maneuvering yesterday.
Yeah, I just wish I didn't fill up like a whole bunch of buckets and kind of did this pouring as we were going, so we only filled 2 because I think we'll have a little bit of honey waste, just of what's like.
There's not a crazy.
There's not a
amount,
lot, but anyway, so I'm filling this drum from our buckets of honey. We also didn't do a fine strain on our honey. We just used like a kitchen sieve, and it actually did a pretty good job. You can see there's little flecks and whatnot of wax in there. But what it will happen over about a 2-week period, because they're lighter less dense than the honey, all the little flecks and debris will actually float to the top of this drum. And then once this honey cools down and solidifies a little bit, I can literally just go in there with a scoop and just scrape off all of the debris and just be left with perfectly clear honey underneath, because straining it through that fine mesh sieve was really slowing down things. That was kind of the major bottleneck when you're extracting, so we're just skip that whole step. Actually, I'll talk about my special. Should I talk about my special tool before or after?
What's your special tool?
Special tool. This is probably one of the most important tools in the meadery. It is the best thing in the world. We had this tool. I don't know where we got it from. It literally just showed up. Or maybe we did know where we got it from.
I don't know where.
Well, maybe at one point we did. But it sat in the shop for years. Because, we'd use a spatula and blah, 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 blah. Because we didn't really know what this weird shaped spatula thing was for. It was just here. It probably came free with something. And eventually, for whatever reason, we couldn't find a spatula, so we grabbed this and very quickly realized what this tool is for. This tool is specifically designed for scraping 5-gallon buckets. It has this nice curved corner here, so you can go around the outside of the curve of the bucket, but then it's flat on the top, so you can scrape the bottom of the bucket. And I actually don't know. I think maybe this little divot corner thing there is so you can get into the seam of the bucket as well. But I don't know what, $2 tool that probably saves us hundreds of dollars a year by fully being able to scrape our honey buckets, because honey's expensive. Yeah, let's get a good.
so pretty.
Yeah, you can see once you get to this point, there's still a ton of honey left in the bucket. I'm not going to stand here with it over, so that I can just pop it on its side, lock it in there, grab my trusty tool, scrape down.
Yeah, it is wild how much more you get.
It is so much, and it's just efficient over like a regular spatula. Just doesn't have the shape and form factor to be able to do this quickly. So I can get all the sides like that, and then the flat bit can just hit the bottom of it and just gets absolutely everything. And then we've also started using this, like in the drum of our extractor itself. Again, just to that flat section to scrape everything off. Works quite nicely. And yeah, do this a whole bunch. I think next time we have a honey pump, but the problem is our honey pump is a little bit oversized for this scale of extracting. So I think we'll just do fill a bucket, dump a bucket,
Yeah, I think we'll just kind of
and then
rotate.
refill that bucket
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So then you're not having to scrape. You only have to, at the end, when you're done filling them, you'd only do this scrape bit once.
Well, if you had two
Yeah,
buckets,
twice. Yeah. Because I don't know, I spent an hour doing this, and I didn't really need to. And I think it would also cut down. Because I mean, yes, this tool is good, but there's, I don't know, 50, 100 grams of honey left in there that it's just not worth the time to get out now. Yeah,
And then on to the next one.
honey.
Yeah.
And we have, I don't know, I think we're probably sitting on 13, 14 drums of these honey, and that'll probably be the year's supply. And we'll do the process all over again next year. I was trying to think of a bee pun
I was gonna say, are you
finishing line.
just existential dread all of a sudden, staring off into the middle distance?
Yeah, my brain's too fried to think of anything clever. But
Yeah.
okay,